Are you a pro wrestling fan? Then odds are at some point in your life, you were a backyard wrestler. In this new series, I'm going to take you through how we came from this to this. It's a long story, covering nearly 2 decades. But if you're a nostalgic person missing the backyard days of yesteryear and a simpler time of the 90s and early 2000s, this is the story for you. This is Backyard Wrestling Cinema. Welcome to Backyard Wrestling Cinema, Season 5, Episode 3. It's the last day of March in 2003. Last week, we had revealed that Christian Greed was now the public access spokesperson. And to start off the show, he called out the owner, TJ Money, who came out with Mr. Benjamin's, collectively known as the High Rollers. And they brought out their bodyguard, Joe D of Misery, who had gotten his 2 biggest wins of his career just last week. Greed says he wants to work together with TJ.
I have a lot to say over what goes on. And so do you, being the owner. I really want to see this company become great.
And make B4W as great as it possibly can be. TJ Money is reluctant and doesn't want to shake his hand. Christian Greed reminds him that he was a fair referee last week and he only wants the best for B4W. And after some convincing, the two shake hands. But it wasn't to last, because right afterwards, the Old School Alliance, myself as Denver Street, Homeboy Joe Slice, and Hellspawn attack them from behind. And then we cut to the show introductions. There's an opening promo where Christian Greed reveals the big Swerve, this elaborate plan that took place over the last several months, and it really wrapped up the entire XWA storyline. It was this piece that we were so glad we put together, and we played these back and forth shots of the locker room reacting to watching it, and it was something we were so proud of at the time, so much so that I'm going to play the entire thing in its entirety at the end of this episode. So if you want to check that out, stay tuned after all the credits and everything. The first official match on this show was Bobby Bo and the Beast taking on a team called Dumb, which was Doofuses United, Mumbles, and Blivious. And that was Mumbles and Rob Blivious. They brought out L.A. Vin, their new bodyguard, making his first appearance.
What's going on here? Oh, Bobby Bo.
Oh, no.
With punches. What is going on?
What the hell? The ref is lost control.
All right, everyone just
got it.
2, 3.
Just in Time requests a match against Denver Street, myself, the world champion. During this time, TJ Money had been doing this Big Brother protection angle with Just in Time, where he was kind of saving him from himself. Just in Time was this small guy who thought he was bigger than life and could just beat up everybody. So he was like a little chihuahua who thought he could just bark at everybody and nothing was going to ever happen to him. We go to a replay of Mr. Benjamin stealing Homeboy Joe Slice's United States title and Homeboy hiring Agent Bibbs to help track it down. Since Homeboy thought he lost the US title, a new one was ordered and he had a replacement title. Agent Bibbs was out next and he called out his prime suspect, Mr. Benjamin's. They have a match.
My intelligence reported to me that the prime suspect is Moneybags himself, Mr. Benjamin. So I'm gonna do my job and get my money. Benjamin's, let's go.
Mr. Benjamin's gets the win and leaves with that stolen U.S. title.
Oh, Big Bo!
Ben's blocking. Maybe silence. Oh, he missed the clothesline. Come back.
Oh, and Benjamin!
Oh,
Say good night, Kristen.
Hurt on the face.
It's over.
2, 3.
Since I was going to be taking on my cousin Mumbles at the pay-per-view Aftermath, we did this thing where we were inserting embarrassing photos of himself into every show, and really it was just photos from our high school yearbook. Mumbles would defend the hardcore title against Hellspawn of the Old School Alliance. It went back and forth, and in the end we showed a graphic that said, we're not going to show the ending of this match because it caused some issues in between the Old School Alliance, with the implication that I accidentally hit Hellspawn. So afterwards, I try to attack Mumbles, but he hits me with my own finisher and counts the 3. So now Mumbles has a victory, even though he counted himself, over the world champion. We go backstage and there is anger in the Old School Alliance.
You know me, as usual, I have a plan. So don't worry about it, all right?
You know what? I warned you about 5 minutes ago to watch yourself. You cost me a match against Mumbles.
All right, look at Hellspawn. It was a mistake. We all make mistakes. Just calm down. I got a little present for you today. I have something.
As Hellspawn is very angry with me. Christian Greed reveals they are holding Rico DMF captive, and a buried alive match will happen tonight. Don't get too excited because it doesn't. They leave the room, forcing Rico to watch the Christian Greed promo all over once again. I take on just in time for the world title. TJ Money came out and saved time doing his big brother kind of angle, and I won via countout.
And the bird. Oh, here comes TJ Money! Finally! Oh, he pulls down the street. Finally! And he pumps down the ref.
And he's picking up time. Look, he's saving him again.
He's saving his boy. He's hollering at his boy.
He feels bad for the little man.
I thought he was the little man wants to get back in there.
He's coming. Next time, I ain't gonna help.
Denver Street. Denver Street's gonna win this one by count out, it looks. Yeah.
Backstage, Mr. Benjamins distracts Homeboy Joe Slice, and Rico DMF is able to escape.
Hey, homeboy, you missing some gold? Huh? Where'd it go?
And right afterwards, we see Hellspawn carrying Rico out to ringside.
And the gates of hell! Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's not Rico.
Huh?
I think that's
Rico, where the hell are you?
that's Homeboy.
He hits his finisher, and then he realizes that's not Rico. That's Homeboy Joe Slice, his fellow Old School Alliance teammate. Rico sneaks up behind Hellspawn and starts attacking. One thing leads to another, and an impromptu U.S. title match between Rico DMF and Homeboy Joe Slice takes place. Which is really weird watching back because they're both dressed like Rico. I said last week that these two had so many matches and yet they were able to make them all different, and this was no exception. In the end, I hit Rico in the leg, and Homeboy Joe Slice hit a splash right from the top just as Rico hit the mat. Like, the timing of it is just insane. We couldn't do that today if we practiced it 100 times.
Hey, look at that.
Oh!
Hey, wait.
The main event saw Tommy Thunder take on Joe D of Misery and TJ Money. A lot of interference from the High Rollers side and then the Old School Alliance. Eventually, Rico DMF comes out after seeing Hellspawn get involved. And then Mumbles came out when he saw me getting involved. The end of the match, there's no finish. It's just a big stare down as we gear up for Aftermath. We're really getting started early, hyping up our next pay-per-view. And it would be our last pay-per-view before the biggest show of our entire lives. There's so much more to talk about, and we're going to get to all of it. We'll see you next week right here on Backyard Wrestling Cinema.
New bodyguard here. No way!
Oh! Oh!
He body slapped him.
He's tapping in oblivion.
The bang better than Mr. Benjamin's himself.
Oh!
And this match underway. I'm guessing this is a hardcore contest. That one was out of the park.
It's amazing that Joe D is doing very well with these high rollers.
Oh my God! Look at that big suplex.
Just as usual, I leave everyone in the B4W with their mouths hanging open. Big surprise, another big surprise, on top of my other big surprise. And you see, this plan that we've got going here, we've had in the works since day one. See, it's a plan I like to call the Big Swerve. See, we've been fooling a lot of people in B4W for a long time. Denver Street and I had this all thought out from the moment I walked into B4W. See, it's almost like a magician who does a magic act. You know, you always see him doing stuff over here with this hand, but you never see what this hand is doing. And that's what this was all about, one big distraction. I'll start with Rico, DMF. See, Rico was a big thorn in my side when I first entered B4W, but you know what we did? We just got Hellspawn to kind of preoccupy him. I even had him in the XWA. I was the one that bailed him out of jail, and then after that he followed me around like a little puppy dog, doing everything I told him to do, until I was ready to fire him, and that's what I did. You see, when I was sitting in that hospital recuperating from my match with TJ Money, the 4 people I was talking about that came to visit me, Denver Street, Tommy Thunder, Homeboy, and Hellspawn. In other words, the Old School Alliance. I bet you all feel like a bunch of fools, don't you? Let me explain some of the intricacies of this plan. I mean, in a good plan it was. Let's talk about Mr. Benjamin's. Hey, remember Minister Mark Moses? Remember I told you to do that? I was the one who made you a man of the cloth. And then after I thought it played itself out, I was the one who told you to steal the money from the church. And it was that money that I used to become the public access spokesperson. So in the long run, Benjamins, you hurt yourself. Let me see who else we can talk about. How about T.J. Money? I brought you into the XWA. You know, at one point you thought me and Thunder and Denver Street at one point were your friends. But you know what something, pal? We used you just like we used everybody else. You see, Denver Street jobbed that title, the TLD, until we could bring somebody in to make the XWA title prestigious. And that was you. But too bad you just didn't listen to orders. But I didn't need you anyway, because then I had the franchise, Tommy Thunder, the best XWA champion ever. And speaking of Tommy, well, you know all those bad things I said about him last week? Guess what? That was all part of the big Swerve too. I mean, do you people really think that a tag team like Mac and Cheese, Denver Street and Tommy Thunder weren't in on this the whole time? You ever really thought that those two friends were going to fight like that? No, you see, that was all part of the plan. We made TJ Money think that Thunder and Street were at each other's throats, because then we had the unification match. And you know what? The Old School Alliance couldn't lose either way, whether the champion was Tommy Thunder or whether the champion was Denver Street. See, we came out the winners all the way around. See, Denver Street was the B4W owner, but that was not enough for us. We wanted to totally control B4W, and now we do. See, because unless everybody does what I say, you're not going to be seen on TV. B4W won't be seen on TV at all. So, who's got the power here? We have the power. And we're going to keep using that power. And you guys better listen to us and the bird. Or else you're screwed. Big surprise, another big surprise.
That's some beautiful stuff.
Yeah.